Okay, so here is our first live broadcast, live stream. I am actually in the process of putting together this zipper boot, which we're going to show you how we put it on the mold. This process is called lasting, and I am actually gluing in the heel counter for this particular boot. It's a pocketed heel counter. It's that right there, and this goes in this little pocket, and it will fit right down inside there and stay there forever. So now we'll put it on the mold, which is the foot shaped thing that you've probably seen in various points in your life, whether at an antique store or maybe sitting on your grandma's hearth or in a garage sale or maybe even in your grandpa's old things. But these are what we've been making boots on for a long time. You see that ours is very particular and very proprietary to our style and what we do. So we're gonna turn this into a boot by putting it on the mold, and again, that's called lasting. So here we go. And once we get that nailed down, we can start working on the heel area. And make sure our lining is pulled up really tight. And you'll see it fits down there really nicely. And then we just make sure we're centered. And that sometimes that takes some doing. Sometimes we have to kind of twist it to get it back to where we want it. And that's about right. So then we take our tacks, and I'll just put a placeholder in there. It will not, this will not be the final tack. Again, I'm just trying to get that back centered so everything looks right and it's where it's supposed to be and where we designed it to be. Okay, so then work that around here really nicely. You can see it's kind of working its way out here, sucking down to the mold really nice. I feel like I'm on a cooking show telling you how to prepare your roast. But anyway, so we continue on around this heel cup. And we're just going to check things. Looks good. Looks real good. So now we can pull these first tacks that we put in, and we'll go ahead and try to position this toe back around to where we want it. And get it dead centered, basically. Now we're getting close. Sometimes you have too much lining in there and you have to cut it away. So we last standing up. This is unlike most boot makers, and I don't know why I started doing it standing up, except for the fact that my teacher would stand up, and his claim was if you're standing up you'll move faster, and I have to agree with him. Standing up is a little bit easier on my back too, because I'm not having to get up and down a lot. And most of you bootmakers know that the back is the first thing to go. I guess the back and the hands. And of course, lasting has a lot to do with that. Kind of wet it again as we go. I don't get mine really wet like everybody else. The reason is because of it's, first of all, you want them to dry fast so you can work with them. Second of all, sometimes staining occurs and does some weird things when you get them completely wet. Sometimes it happens when you don't get them completely wet too, so I've seen it on both ways. But what we're doing is we're just working this leather around the foot as we go, and it's forming to the mold, or to the last. Again, that's why we call it lasting. Kind of the going adage is that the last is first. What does that mean? Well, the last is the first thing that you basically start with to build the look of the boot. So, in other words, if you've got a pointed toe last, you need to design everything to the pointed toe. If it's round toe, of course things will fall in a different place. Square toe, same thing. So the last, ironically, is first. Kind of a biblical precept. Right, the last will be first and the first will be last. So we're going to basically temporarily last in this toe, because that all gets done again when you put your toe box in. We're going to finish this heel. Very simple the way we do this. You don't use real long nails on a zipper boot because you're not going through near as much material as you do a regular cowboy boot, because we're not nailing through the hard counter. I don't know if you could see that, but we're simply nailing through the upper material. So it doesn't take real long nails, and it actually is a lot easier than a regular boot, in my opinion, because you're not working with all that hard skirting material or sole bend, whatever you're making your hard counter out of. We're using sole bend for our hard counter, but again, you saw me pocket it in there, so it's not, we're not nailing through it. We're not, I would say, what's not going to keep it in there? Where is it going to go, right? So, and if I hadn't tried it many times before, I might be right there with you. But trust me, it works and will not go anywhere. It is basically there forever. And you can see it gives a lot of shape to this heel cup, which I love, because that means shape means lines, and lines means fashion. And I get a lot of grief for building a fashion boot in the bootmaker world, but I have news for you. People buy custom boots for two reasons: fit and fashion. And we like to think we do both pretty well. So you can see it hasn't taken me that long to get to this place. The last thing I'm going to do in the lasting process is I'm going to baseball lace or baseball stitch the shank area. A lot of people use lasting pliers or shank lasters to do this. I don't, because I find it much easier to use the thread to do the same job. So basically, I'll take this thread and I'll just start about right here, tie it off, just 2 square knots would be fine, 3 if you're worried. Sometimes it'll pull out. We do pull pretty stout. So basically you're going to stitch one side to the other and pull as you go. Hope you can see this. And yes, you can pull on this zipper. This is a YKK zipper. It is the best in the business. We won't use anything else because anything else might tear or might give away. And the other thing is we're taking our zipper all the way to the sole line. So what does that mean? Well, that means you're not going to replace it very easily. So if it busts or breaks or gives gives way, then you're going to have to be taking the boot all the way apart, literally, and putting an entire new zipper in, which is no fun. It's no fun on our boots and no fun on the factory boot either. So you can see we're pulling this up quite a bit. And what I'm doing here is I'm just locking that zipper down with a spot of super glue, which is dried very fast with this quick dry activator. And then we're going to continue all the way up till about where the welt would start, pulling that really tight. And you can see it's really bringing it up. See that? Just keep pulling it up. Sometimes this will cut your leather, and if it does, well, you'll just have to pull a little easier maybe. I have found that if you use a thick enough cord or thread, it won't cut near as easily. And just wrap it around, nail it down, and then we'll come back in and fine tune our see what that looks like. It's pretty cool. That is a typical Ethos looking zipper boot. We're off on the toe just a little bit, but what I'll do is I'll fix that when I go back and last it in again when we do the toe box. So again, that toe is, you're just kind of keeping it in place while you last in all the back area. And then we'll show you how to do the next step when we get there.